What's going on, bottom line viewers and NFL bettors? It's Mitch back here with another week of NFL best bets here on the BLV. Before I give you my favorite picks versus the spread, allow me to introduce you what is quickly becoming my favorite way to bet on the NFL this season. Underdog Fantasies Pick'ems. Allow me to show you how this works by building our own parlay. Let's go. This is what I'm talking about, guys. This is the Underdog Fantasy website. It's really nice. It's really clean. It's in dark mode. Personally, I like the app even more just because it's easier for me to use on my phone. I can use it anywhere. I don't have to log on to my computer. But regardless, whichever way suits you and your lifestyle, check out UnderdogFantasy.com or download the app. If you use the promo code BLV, they will double your first deposit up to $100. So you can get $100 free to use on these pick'ems, which, like I said, guys, you can up to 20 times your money with these pick'ems. Let's go through a pick'em of my own and show you how it works. Right now, because it's Tuesday night, they don't have all the options available for this week's Week 5 games just yet. But as we get closer to Sunday, they will add more and more and more options for you to put together in your parlay. So I would suggest to wait a little bit longer unless you're looking for a Thursday night parlay. So that being said, let's just play a Thursday night parlay to show you how it works. So above your pick'em entries here for your parlay, you see the multiplier, you see the amount, you see the payout, you see the insurance. This insurance option is very important and I think very, very cool. It's a lot like what you would see in a round robin parlay at your sportsbook. So an insurance option would make it so that instead of 5 out of 5 wins you 20 times your money, which is real enticing, you put the insurance on and then it all of a sudden becomes 10 times your money, right? 10 times your money is still fantastic, right? $10 would win you 100. For example, 100 would win you 1,000, right? That insurance allows you to hit 4 or more picks to win. And I believe if you take one of these entries off, if let's say you don't like Sutton, I believe that it allows you to hit 3 or more for you to win. But then again, the multiplier, it goes down a bit. So if you hit 3 out of 4, you get 1.5 times your money. If you hit 4 out of 4, it's 6 times your money. But if you turn the insurance off of 4 out of 4, then it's 10 times your money, right? So it's the same as hitting 5 out of 5 with the insurance on. So there's a lot of things and a lot of different options that you can go with. So let's say I want to go with these 4. I'm going to put the insurance on and I'm going to bet $10. Okay? Then you have the payout of potentially 60 to win. 1.5, well, I still win more than I bet if I hit 3 out of the 4 options. So that's how Underdog Fantasy Pick'ems work. They're a lot of fun. I personally find myself going to them for each and every primetime game because it's an easy way to bet on the primetime games instead of betting into the inflated spreads or the difficult totals. I go to Underdog Fantasy to play some pick'ems because I feel it's a lot more reasonable and you get to choose your way to attack the board, especially in those primetime spots where they have a lot more options available. And as you can see, they have baseball available right now. They're going to have a lot more basketball available. Hockey is going to become available. So whichever sport you like, they're going to have available for you to add into your parlay. So once we get to that awesome time of the sports calendar and season where all these different sports are hitting, I feel like you could put together some nasty, nasty pick'em parlays. So check out the pick'em parlay, guys. I'm going to put this one through right now. And there it is. You can share my entry with my friends. Share your picks. That is the pick'em parlay for week number 5. Remember, guys, use the promo code BLV and double your first deposit up to $100. Enjoy. Kicking off my best bets versus the spread for week number 5 of the 2022 NFL season, the Philadelphia Eagles -5 at the Arizona Cardinals. This line just doesn't make any sense to me. Why is this below 6? Why is this even below 7? The Philadelphia Eagles are arguably the best team in the NFC right now. They might even be the best team in the NFL right now. They are the only undefeated team in the NFL today, and I don't think in any way, shape, or form they are overrated. They have dominated their competition on offense and on defense. This is a complete team, and they showcased that a week ago versus Jacksonville. They dominated the line of scrimmage. They forced turnovers. They're playing solid in the back end of their defense. Darius Slay is having another fantastic season. James Bradbury has been super helpful to the opposite side in coverage. Their pass rush is looking in prime 2017-esque form. They're hard to run against, and they can run the football better than just about anybody in the NFL. Miles Sanders is having a career year. Jalen Hurts is really becoming a breakout star at quarterback, and we know that in this environment there won't be any rain, so there's no holding him back from slicing and dicing a weak Cardinals defense that doesn't really have much of a pass rush. That pass rush is facing arguably the strongest offensive line in football, and a receiving core with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert that's going to eat all their matchups across the board. Who's containing A.J. Brown in this game? Beats me. I think the Eagles destroy the Cardinals and win by at least a touchdown, if not 2 scores. This was my first bet of the week. Give me the Eagles, -5. It's simple. My second best bet of week number 5 versus the spread is an underdog. I'm taking the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I personally bet this at +5. And if you guys are wondering, whoa, Mitch, where are you getting this info? How do I get this info? Well, you can get this info on my Patreon. Cheap plug. Link is in the description. Check it out. Become a patron of my channel, and I give you my early bets of the week. When I bet them, I also give you the bets, my actual bets, on my Patreon. So if you want to know what I'm betting each and every week, then join Patreon, and you'll also get an exclusive podcast, the BLV vs. Consensus, where we break down each and every game and preview each and every game every single week. So check that out on my Patreon, link in the description. But back to the pick. The Dallas Cowboys are +5. They might be +4.5 now. They might even be +4 now. Regardless, I like it. I like the Dallas Cowboys this year. And typically when I like the Dallas Cowboys, I'm usually right about the Cowboys because I'm usually very conservative about the Cowboys. My dad's a Cowboys fan. I usually like to give them a hard time when they're not very good. But this year, they're pretty good, and they're better than people think, which is very rare. Usually people overestimate the Cowboys, which is why I'm down on them typically. But this year is a year that they're actually being underrated because of how they entered the year with all the turnover, with how many injuries they've had early, with Dak Prescott being out. But look, Cooper Rush is still undefeated as a starter. He can execute this offense. He can run this offense under Kellen Moore, and he makes all the right decisions. And this receiving core is becoming sneaky underrated, led by CeeDee Lamb, who's having a great year. Michael Gallup is back. Dalton Schultz should be in the lineup. Tony Pollard and Zeke are both dynamic. And yeah, Zeke is kind of a little bit sluggish, but I feel like he gives a nice 1-2 to Tony Pollard's explosiveness. And the offensive line continues to get better there on offense. I feel like this offense can move the football on a Rams defense that's a little bit top heavy. They have some really good players like Aaron Donald, like Leonard Floyd, like Jalen Ramsey, but there's many weaknesses, including injured safeties, including suspect linebackers in coverage, including an edge rush that isn't creating a lot of pressure. So what's perfect for a backup quarterback, but the ability to have time in the pocket and go through his reads and feel comfortable back there. And I really feel like that's going to be the case in this game, as the Rams are one of the worst teams at actually generating pressure. Just look at the 49ers game on Monday night. Shanahan and that 49ers offense allowed Jimmy a very easy pocket to work from. And it's because, well, it's well schemed, but also because the Rams don't really have a great pass rush besides Aaron Donald. And I think that really allows a guy like Cooper Rush the time to go through his reads and make plays, and allows those CeeDee Lambs of the world to separate down the field. In this game in particular, a guy like Michael Gallup or a guy like Noah Brown could really have big days because Jalen Ramsey could be tracking CeeDee Lamb around the formation and across the field. But the Dallas Cowboys now have some decent depth behind their number one. Defensively is where I really like the matchup. Yes, the Rams defense is pretty good, but not great, so the Cowboys should be able to move the football. But the defense of the Cowboys is why I'm confident in this pick. Look, The Los Angeles Rams offense is not very good right now. It's extremely overrated right now. Their offensive line is beat up across the board. They don't really have any above average players outside of right tackle right now. Their center's beat up. Their best guard, David Edwards, is also hurt. The running backs have been inconsistent, Henderson and Akers. It doesn't feel like they trust Akers all that much, and neither of them are receiving threats consistently. Tyler Higbee's the number 2 behind Cooper Kupp, and that's nothing to really be excited about, especially with a Dallas secondary and linebacking core that can cover tight ends at an effective rate. On defense, the Cowboys can pressure you. The Cowboys can get to the quarterback. The Cowboys can push the pocket. Micah Parsons is a monster. DeMarcus Lawrence is a beast. This is a defensive line that can make life difficult and that can stress your passing game and that can put pressure on Stafford. Stafford's known to make mistakes, and if he makes a mistake in this game, that could sway the momentum for the Cowboys. On top of everything, offense and defense, you have to think about the home field for the Rams. A home field that's going to be full of Cowboys jerseys and Cowboys fans. This is going to be a very pro-Cowboys crowd in Los Angeles because, let's be honest, that's a very casual football audience. So I like the Cowboys plus the points 4 or 5 in this game because I love their defense and how they're playing. One of only 2 defenses to allow 20 or less points in every single game. By the way, the 49ers were the other. Just saying. They just played the Rams. They just locked down the Rams. But I got the Cowboys. I got the points as my second pick. My third pick versus the spread for week number 5 is the San Francisco 49ers. Another game that opened as the favorite -5. I also bet that. Another opportunity to check out my Patreon because you would have got 1.5 points of value on that bet if you would have saw my initial bet on Patreon, which was 49ers -5. More cheap plugs for you guys. I hope you appreciate it. Gronk spiked the like button as well. Why not? The 49ers, I have them regardless of the spread. -6, -6.5, anywhere under 7. I'm taking San Francisco, Jimmy G, his handsome self, and my favorite coach in the league, Kyle Shanahan, to absolutely dismantle the Carolina Panthers in Carolina. I don't care where this game is played. If it's in Carolina, San Francisco, Los Angeles, I don't care if it's in Florida. I don't care if it's in China. I don't care if it's on the moon. What I know what's going to happen in this game is that the San Francisco 49ers pass rush is going to dominate this game through and through. The Carolina Panthers offensive line is a bit suspect. It does have weaknesses. You can exploit it. And DeMeco Ryans has week after week after week proven that he can exploit bad offensive lines, including Monday Night Football, where he blitzed Stafford. He made him uncomfortable, which is a rare thing that teams typically don't do to Stafford because he's very good versus the blitz. You know who sucks versus the blitz? His name is Baker Mayfield. And really, it's not just the blitz he sucks against. He sucks against everything. He's terrible. Baker Mayfield right now can't get out of his own way. He can't stop getting his passes tipped down at the line of scrimmage. 4, 5, 6 a game. That sway a game. That sway the momentum. He can't stop getting his passes tipped. On top of that, DJ Moore doesn't like him. You can clearly tell. Robbie Anderson, he's out to lunch. He doesn't know where he is half the time. Christian McCaffrey, he's over with Olivia Culpo doing modeling shoots. I don't know where he's at either. And this offense is just a complete disaster, guys. This offense is not scoring more than 14 points. I guarantee you that. This defense of the 49ers is the best in football right now. It's absolutely loaded. It's absolutely stacked. They cannot be ran on consistently. They cannot be passed on consistently. They win first down, they win early downs, and then they become creative on third down. Charvarius Ward, Emmanuel Mosley, these guys have upgraded that secondary. Along with the next Troy Polamalu at strong safety, you have the best defense there is. And I haven't even talked about the best OC in the game, Kyle Shanahan, who's going to be probably having the advantage over Phil Snow in this matchup. I don't love Jimmy Garoppolo, but Kyle figured out in that Rams game how to manage him in a game like this. You know, throw some screen passes. Get the ball in the hands of Debo. Get the ball on the ground. And I feel like Jeff Wilson and this rushing attack will have success against this lighter front of the Carolina Panthers. Keep them on edge. Use their aggressiveness, Brian Burns, against him and be able to use those little cutback runs, those zone runs, those wham plays. And I feel they're going to have some big runs for Jeff Wilson in this game. On top of that, you've got to deal with George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, too many weapons, and Jimmy G is competent enough. As long as he doesn't turn the ball over more than twice, the Niners should cover this number pretty easily because they're going to put up 20 to 27, and I just don't see the Panthers scoring more than 14. So I'm taking the Niners minus the 6.5, minus the 6, minus the 5, whatever. Give me the Niners. My fourth pick versus the spread is the Jacksonville Jags minus 7 over the Houston Texans. I like what I saw last week from this standpoint for Jacksonville. Yes, they lost. Yes, they didn't cover. Yes, they cost me, okay? But Jacksonville, they lost by 8 to one of the best teams in football, turning the football over 5 times. 4 fumbles in the rain. Now, Trevor Lawrence doesn't really know how to play in the rain. Noted. But at home, that's a different animal. Jacksonville is better at home. Jacksonville's defense is better at home. Jacksonville has a defense. They're going to lock down Dameon Pierce. Jacksonville can stop the run fairly well. They had trouble with Jalen Hurts in that rushing attack, but Davis Mills is not Jalen Hurts. So they got Dameon Pierce to shut down. They've got to slow down Brandon Cooks. That's a pretty easy task there. Very good up front, very athletic up front, pretty good and underrated secondary do the Jags have. And I look at Jacksonville and I feel they're still being undervalued. This is maybe the first week where they've been given some respect, but it's more so a fade of Houston. To me, it's a fade of Houston, but also I'm on Jacksonville's bandwagon. I like how Trevor Lawrence is playing despite the turnovers against the Eagles. I have liked the game plans by Doug Peterson. I like how Lawrence and Peterson are spreading the ball around in this offense. And Houston's defense is not very good against the run. The Chargers didn't really exploit that well, and they still put up over 30 points. I expect the Jags to not only be able to run the football in this game, but also pass the football in this game, having more balance than the Chargers had in that matchup. So I think Jacksonville is being undervalued even by being favored by 7. I think they win this game by 10 plus, especially considering it's at home. They're the superior team, the superior quarterback, superior coach. Give me Jacksonville minus 7. My fifth best bet versus the spread for week number 5 is the Tennessee Titans minus 2.5 over the Washington Commanders. This one really stood out to me early in the week, and I thought about it. I almost talked myself out of it, but I talked myself back into it. And it's pretty simple. Washington's offensive line is extremely injured. They have 4 of their starters hurt, and 3 of them coming from the interior offensive line. Well, who plays on the interior defensive line of Tennessee? Jeffrey Simmons. He's an absolute beast. He's an absolute animal. He's a one-man wrecking crew. And Mike Vrabel and this defensive staff is going to exploit that. Mike Vrabel's a smart coach. He's a superior coach to Ron Rivera, who this year is having perhaps his worst coaching year of his career. I have never seen a team lacking preparation in the way that Ron Rivera has this Washington team lacking preparation. Jack Del Rio can't seem to get this defense fixed. They are terrible. They are putrid. They can't stop the run. They can't really affect the passer. They can't stop the pass. So what I see in this game is Tennessee, Derrick Henry, a lot of him early. That's going to open up big passing lanes down the field, just as it has the last couple of weeks. Tennessee started 0-2, now 2-2, riding some momentum. And really, when you look at it, they could be 3-1. Week 1, they were a bit unlucky versus the Giants. So I think they're better than their record suggests, or they're at least a good, competitive, solid team, and they're getting their offense going a bit. Ryan Tannehill's doing enough. He's protecting the ball. And defensively, they're starting to get it going. It looks like Amani Hooker might be back from a concussion. Their front 7 can get pressured. Their front 7, I don't think we'll have too much trouble with a banged up offensive line in defending the run as well. And that's kind of been their weakness so far this year, although they were pretty good against Jonathan Taylor last week. I view the Titans as a team that their coaching is making the proper adjustments, the proper tweaks, and they're improving because of it. Washington is just going downhill. From week 1 on, they've been worse and worse and worse, and regression every single week. So give me the Titans -2.5 on the road in Washington, a place that doesn't really have a home field advantage. My sixth and final best bet versus the spread for week number 5 is the Miami Dolphins -3, -3.5, depending on where you are betting, over the New York Jets. Now, I really like what I saw from Zach Wilson last week, but a lot of that came in the fourth quarter when they were down 10. And a lot of that was aided by Kenny Pickett throwing some rookie interceptions, and a lot of that was aided by a bad rebuilding Pittsburgh team. Deontay Johnson said it himself, they're rebuilding. Miami is a playoff team. Miami is a good team. Miami has dynamic playmakers, different from Pittsburgh. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, speed that is different to handle. And not only that, we have a familiar coaching matchup. Mike McDaniel faces Robert Saleh. Mike McDaniel was the OC in San Francisco, while Robert Saleh was the defensive coordinator. And I think there's a lot of familiarity there for the Dolphins trying to attack this defensive scheme, because Saleh doesn't really change what he does. But McDaniel has the opportunity, with the new quarterback especially, to change what they do and attack that defense and attack its rules. So I think that helps Miami get off to a great start with Teddy Bridgewater at quarterback. I also view Miami as improving as a rushing attack with Raheem Mostert. I view them as just having too much speed for this secondary. And I look at that defense of Miami that can win this game by themselves. If Zach Wilson has a couple bad plays, a couple turnovers, a strip sack fumble behind a bad offensive line from a blitz that he doesn't see coming from an aggressive defensive coordinator in Boyer, or maybe an interception trying to make a play, forcing it down the field, I could see all these things happening. I don't think Miami's outgunned here from a weapons perspective. I get it. The Jets have some nice players on the offensive side of the football, but I'm concerned about that offensive line with all the injuries they have, trying to block the dynamic front of the Dolphins that can rush 4 and get pressure, but also blitz and get pressure. And I think that's a lot to handle for Zach Wilson. So I like what I've seen from Wilson, but a lot of it, remember, was against a Steelers team that is just not very good. This is a step up in class, and because of that, I have the Dolphins winning and covering this game. If you enjoyed the best bets for week number 5, don't forget to Gronk spike the like button and check out my best bets for over-unders this week. Thanks for watching. It's Mitch. Don't forget to check out Underdog Fantasy. Link is in the description. They will double your first deposit up to $100. Peace.